because it's a very large city.
Yeah, it's like LA.
That's exactly what I was going to say. So
Really?
It was like, imagine everyone in Los Angeles turned the lights out, right? Blacked out, and you're moving. It is undeniably scary. Right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they open up, and for 9.5, 10 hours later, we did not stop.
I'd like to correct one thing on that citation, though. He didn't volunteer. He made it very clear that they were going.
Oh.
Well, and that's
He's
that's,
like, I'm going.
Yeah.
that's the other thing
That's
that he
what he
did.
told me.
Yeah.
No, because it was. I gave the order that all soft skin vehicles that they stay in the assembly area, because I didn't want them to be subject to that. But we really needed that ammo, and if we wouldn't have had that ammo,
We would have been in
we
trouble.
would have been because we were running out even with what we had. With what the company gunnies and when we talk about how he sets the pace, he said I'm going, and all the other company gunnies fell in line from the whole battalion.
Because
of
he
him.
said yes.
I believe that that's the truth.
Yeah.
But I gave the order no, and then I was told by Captain Sokol came up to me and said, "Sir, a gunny Bohr's going.
Yeah.
He's going, and I don't think there's any way you're gonna stop him." And I go, well. I'm not, I don't want, they're going to get we're going to be in a bad fight. I'm pretty darn sure we're going to be in a bad fight.
Yeah.
So I'm not making anybody go. And I'd prefer that they stay back, even though we need that ammo, in particular the ammo. Water, secondary, and then chow after that. But the ammo is what we really needed the most of. And that proved to be the case. We would have been really hurting.
Who was he resupplying specifically, though?
His company. His
The whole
Alpha
company. So
yeah.
the whole company was out there, and they needed the ammo.
Yeah, you had 2 high-back Humvees full of ammo. I mean, they were loaded out.
They're down to
They
the
were
axle.
loaded out.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't
We're
just
talking everything.
C4, AT4s,
Yeah.
small rockets,
Yeah.
mortar rounds.
Machine gun rounds,
And
everything.
Everything was in the back of the truck
we were using
right
all
behind
that. I mean, we used all of that.
At that time, you guys were holding a position at the presidential palace. Is that correct?
No,
we were
at the
moving.
time we had disengaged from Sadr City and had gone north, unpopulated areas north of Baghdad, and then got on Highway 2 and attacked from the south, from the north.
Okay.
So you got the Army was going from the southwest to the northeast. The Marine Corps was going from the southeast to the northwest. So kind of going like this, pinching, and nothing was coming from the north. 4th Infantry Division of the Army was supposed to be there, but they weren't allowed to go through Turkey, so they weren't there. So they one battalion came down attacking from the north to the south when everything was pushing everything to the north. So we came in, and that's why we got that was why I was concerned about the intel report that we had was that brigade, and that's the same intel report we didn't know.
They said there was a brigade.
Yeah, and that's the same thing we heard from in every other engagement that we had. All that was brigade, and there was enemy there. No, don't get me wrong, but it was hard to quantify. I mean, you have irregular forces out there, Saddam Fedayeen and all that. It's hard to get a good count on what the enemy threat is there.
Are we talking Baathists? Or
Yeah.
or like
Well,
We did have
like actual
Yeah, they had-
like Baathists in there?
yeah, they did, and so we didn't have a really clear picture. All I knew is that everything was being pushed to the north, and we were coming from this north of the city into the city. So I just felt like we're probably going to run into something.
Because nobody had approached from
Nobody
that
had approached
direction
from that direction yet. And so the second we hit the outskirts, we started getting wailed on.
Really?
And for 9.5 hours, it was constant firing.
I remember the best way that I describe it was like, I could only imagine, because it's a very large city.
Yeah,
And
it's like LA.
That's exactly what I was going to say. So
Really?
It was like, imagine everyone in Los Angeles turned the lights out, right? Blacked out, and you're moving. It is undeniably scary, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they open up, and for 9.5, 10 hours later, we did not stop. So when he says we needed the ammo, I mean, we were consistent. Like, there were guys, we're standing outside the track, up with the tops open, and there's guys down low that just needed a break, and now they're not on a break. They're like filling ammunition, feeding the
filling magazines.
100%.
Okay.
10 hours straight.
Yeah.
That was probably a very interesting period of time. Like nobody probably slept at all during that.
No.
No, for days.
You were
No sleeping.
your
No sleeping.
adrenaline
That was like
was
right
through the roof.
Yeah,
Yeah.
through the entire thing.
Yeah.
Was like, when we're talking about you guys were taking a lot of fire, were you taking rocket fire? Were you
Yep.
taking
Everything.
mortars,
Everything.
I watched it,
artillery?
Yeah.
I watched an RPG go through the back of Gunny's truck. It like went through the canvas of his truck, through the
To set
ammunition.
up the firefight, when we first entered it, and when it was dark, what set it off was an RPG.
Really?
It went right behind the track that I was in and in front of the vehicle behind us, the Amtrak, hit a wall, exploded, and then it was just gunfire, rockets.
We had an RPG knock one of the Marines out in
Oh, yeah.
harness,
Harness.
hit him in the back of the head, and knocked him inside the vehicle, and the round didn't explode.
It fishtailed. It hit his Kevlar, dented the Kevlar. And years later, subsequently, Ryan Harnish is his name.
He got hit in the head with an RPG.
He got out of the Marine Corps, fought to come back in, and I served with him again. But yeah, he's out now. But it was like the side of the helmet, and it dented his helmet. But it wasn't the warhead; it was the stem.
Stand.
You know, because an RPG
This
kinda
So
wobble.
it fishtailed and
Yeah.
it
Hit
cracked
him.
the side of him. Okay.
Right. But you know, unfortunately, he has like headaches and a lot of medical stuff with it. But,
TBI.
I mean, but
Yeah.
as soon as he could, he got right back in the fight.
Yeah.
That's unbelievably lucky.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
unbelievably lucky.
there's a lot of that in this.
Oh.
An RPG that went into it broke the armor and penetrated one of the amphibious assault vehicles. The halon system went out.
Yeah.
Didn't
This
explode.
didn't explode. But the halon system sucks all the oxygen out. So now they have to drop ramp. So now they're exposed to
Enemy
the
fire.
enemy fire. It was chaotic to say the least. Right?
Yeah.
And that's like the colonel was saying as we were talking earlier. Gunny came to us, the three guys that were riding in the Humvees, came to us and said, "Hey, you don't have to go. You can stay." He said, "I'm going." And so it's like, well, if you're going, Gunny, all of us are going.
Yeah, we're not letting you go by yourself. What do you mean you can stay? Like,
And then he's like, but the company needs the ammo. So that was like,
Well,
and they definitely needed
sitting
it.
in the back of the Amtrak with the squawk box, as we talked about earlier, was like, you really can't hear a lot.
yeah.
But we heard that. We heard Captain Sokol at the time give the order that Gunny is to stay back. It came across all the comms. And his exact response was something to, very sternly, which I won't repeat. But the end state was, if my Marines are fighting, I'm fighting alongside them.
Yeah.
He came and see me.
End of
Once he
story,
heard it, he came
Yeah.
and
I
see
remember
me.
hearing that, and
You could hear that over the squawk
Oh,
box.
absolutely, and we were fired up. We were like,
I can imagine.
I mean, we were just like, let's go,
That's Dad. Dad's coming to
yeah,
fight with us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh man.
So I mean, I gave the order for them to stay back,
yeah.
but they were going, and he made that very clear. Hey,
Gunny
look,
came to see me, and I said, "Hey, we're gonna see the CO right now. We're gonna fix this." So we go up and see Captain Sokol. I said, "Hey, sir, you got to go and see the battalion commander right now." He's like, "Oh, the captain can't tell a battalion commander what to do there, First Sergeant." I say, "Sir, you're not telling him what to do." I said, "Gunny wants to be in the fight with the Marines." He said he been here the whole time. He said, if something gonna happen, it's gonna happen. I wanna be there with my Marines. And I said, you gotta go and see this battalion commander.
So you talked to Captain Sokol and just asked
Yeah.
him to go talk to the battalion commander.
and he did. He spoke with me. Of course, I'm doing this, but
what did he say to you?
he was in this particular case, he was very much like the Gunny, where he was just very matter of factly just saying why the Gunny needed to go, and his vehicles needed to go. And I already knew that we would be leaving behind not the Gunny and the Marines that were with those vehicles that we would need, but the resources that they had in those vehicles, we absolutely needed. I knew we were going to need it, and I knew that leaving them behind was going to hurt us bad, and it could have been critical. And so, I was, to some degree, he was pushing a little bit on an open door, but I wanted it to be something they emphatically wanted to do, and stated that they want. And so when they came on and said, "Hey, they're going," I don't know how you're going to stop them, but they're going to go.
I don't know how you're going to stop him.
So I'm like, all right, I just want them to know that they don't have to.
Yeah.
But we do need the ammo and everything, but they're going to be in soft-skinned vehicles in an urban fight. That's not good. And I just want to make sure you understand that. And so there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about that. I think about that all the time. I think about White, he had a pretty bad injury
Oh, yeah.
from that. I mean, and I think about losing the gunny. I really wanted to get through that whole thing without losing anybody. That's a goal. That's something that you always have in the back of your mind. Is something you would really like to have happen. But one of the first things in war is that people die, and the second thing is that we can't change rule number one, which is people die. The way Gunny went out, I think if he had to write it, if he was here and he had to write it himself, that's kind of
That's the way he wanted
that's
to
the way
go.
he would have gone out.
Yeah, that's
Still
the way
doesn't
he
still
wanted
doesn't
to
take
Go out
away
fighting.
Yeah.
still doesn't take away the regret and sadness that associated with his loss. It doesn't take that away, but it does mitigate it a little bit, I guess. Because I would have liked to have seen where he would have gone.
Yeah.
From there. I mean, he was such a great combat leader, and he impacted so many so well. As he would have kept in, it would just been there would have been more of that. But it has happened. It has happened through others, like the gunner here.
Yeah.
And
That's
you know,
living
and-
proof right there.
that just permeates in the Marine Corps and the National Guard, and it's still out there.
That sphere of influence,
Yeah.
it's continued to spread.
yeah.
And then when he came to our platoon and every other platoon since then, it permeated from there, spread
Yeah.
to us, and then
Yeah.
we tried our best to spread it to our junior Marines, right?
So that's a legacy that lives on. That's a
Yeah.
legacy that this award represents. That's the legacy that he would be proud of.
Yeah.
And I know his family's proud of it, but I think he would find that to be very satisfying, not because of it's him, but it's because of those standards that that we've been talking about here, that uncompromising standards, and his drive and his enthusiasm in making sure that Marines are prepared to do what it is we have to do. You're never going to get to the place where you know everything and can do everything and you're perfectly trained. So you have to be in constant pursuit of excellence, and that's what he was.
That's what he was.
Yeah.
And I've really lived my whole life with the question in my mind every time I come to a decision: what would Gunny have me do? What would
Yeah.
Gunny want me to do? And I think that's something that's passed down to us, to all of the Marines that were around him, is how can I make my life worth what Gunny sacrificed for me?
That makes sense. I could see that for sure.
The gunner said something earlier. We've been talking everything about culture and family and everything, but I can tell you, in knowing the Gunny and what he's done, like you take a recruit, comes in the Marine Corps, don't know anything about being a Marine, but that Marine, that recruit, only thing he's going to remember for the rest of his life is his senior drill instructors and some of his drill instructors. But I tell you, he will never forget the senior drill instructor.
Yeah.
Because the senior drill instructor will take the time out and mentor and teach and tell them why they have to do this, the standards that they gotta uphold, and those traditions of honor, courage, and commitment, why it means so much in being a Marine. That's what Gunny was.
I like what Gunner was talking about when I didn't know anything about the Marine Corps when I first came in. I came in and what I knew is what I was shown when I reported to my first unit. Hey, yeah, you go through boot camp, and that's critical. We do it better than anybody else. No doubt about it. We recruit do recruit training, and we prepare, and we send Marines off to MCT or ITB or whatever, and we do that better than anybody else because of our culture. But when they show up to their first unit, man, that's
make or
if you
break.
if you show up to a really good unit, that this is the way it is. I mean, this is the way it is, and that becomes the yardstick by which you measure everything. And if you come into a bad unit, that's all you know. There's this award again. This is going to reward and going to acknowledge people, Marines that are like Gunny Bohr, whereas they establish that atmosphere of holding you to the standard, but doing it in a compassionate way, and doing it in a way that has your best interest in mind and the best interest of the unit in mind. It was never about him. It was about the unit. It was about about the Marines that made that unit up. There's a lot of people that we could have recognized with this award. I don't think we could have done any better than Gunnery Bohr.